Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and a shimmering lake, there lived a young girl named Lila. Lila was known throughout the village for her extraordinary ability to listen to the stars. At night, when the sky was clear, she would sit by her window, gaze up at the twinkling stars, and whisper her dreams and wishes to them. One evening, as Lila sat under the starlit sky, she noticed a star twinkling more brightly than the others. It seemed to be beckoning her. With a heart full of curiosity and wonder, Lila decided to follow the star's light. She left her cozy cottage and ventured out into the night, guided by the star's shimmering path. The star led Lila through the forest, past ancient trees and over babbling brooks. After a long journey, she arrived at the edge of a mysterious, enchanted meadow bathed in moonlight. In the center of the meadow stood a magnificent, glowing tree, its branches adorned with golden leaves and silver flowers. As Lila approached the tree,
she noticed a small, delicate fairy fluttering near its base. The fairy had wings that sparkled like stardust and a smile as bright as the moon. She introduced herself as Seraphina, the guardian of the star tree. "Welcome, Lila," Seraphina said. "I have been waiting for you. This star has chosen you for a special mission." Lila's eyes widened with excitement. "What mission?" Seraphina explained that the star tree had been losing its light because the stars were losing their magic. The only way to restore their magic was to gather stardust from the farthest corners of the world and return it to the tree. "I can help with that," Lila said, determined. "But how will I find the stardust?" Seraphina handed Lila a silver vial and a small, ornate map. "This map will guide you to the places where the stardust can be found. But be careful, for the journey will be filled with challenges and enchantments." With the vial and map in hand, Lila embarked on her quest. The map led her to 3 magical places where stardust was hidden: the Whispering Caves,
the Enchanted Falls, and the Crystal Caverns. At the Whispering Caves, Lila faced a riddle from a wise old owl who guarded the stardust. She solved the riddle with her cleverness and kindness, earning the owl's respect in the small jar of stardust. Next, at the Enchanted Falls, Lila had to prove her bravery by crossing a bridge made of shimmering light. The bridge wobbled and sparkled, but Lila walked with courage, reaching the other side to find another jar of stardust hidden behind a waterfall. Finally, in the Crystal Caverns, Lila navigated through a labyrinth of dazzling crystals. She used her wits and her ability to listen to the stars for guidance. In the heart of the cavern, she discovered the last jar of stardust nestled among the crystals. With all 3 jars filled with stardust, Lila returned to the star tree. Seraphina greeted her with joy and guided her to the tree's base. Lila poured the stardust into a hollow within the tree, and a magnificent transformation occurred. The star tree's branches glowed with a renewed brilliance, and the stars in the sky shone even more brightly. Seraphina thanked Lila for her bravery and determination. "You have restored the magic of the stars and saved the star tree. As a token of our gratitude, we grant you the ability to visit the stars whenever you wish." From that night on, Lila could call upon the stars to guide her and bring their wisdom into her life. She returned to her village with stories of her adventure and shared her newfound wisdom with everyone. The village thrived under Lila's guidance, and the night sky became a source of inspiration and wonder for all. Lila's connection with the stars brought a sense of magic and unity to the village, and the star tree remained a symbol of hope and enchantment. And so, under the twinkling stars, Lila and her village lived happily ever after, always guided by the light of their dreams and the magic of the night sky. The end. The tale of the starlit bridge. In a serene kingdom surrounded by rolling meadows and shimmering lakes, there was a quaint village known for its peace and prosperity. But there was one mystery that intrigued everyone: the starlit bridge, a majestic bridge that spanned the grand river dividing the kingdom. Legend had it that the bridge was built by a celestial being and had the power to grant a single wish to those who crossed it under the light of the full moon. The starlit bridge was always bathed in a soft, glowing light that made it look like it was made of stars. But no one had ever been able to make a wish come true, and over time, the bridge had become a symbol of hope rather than fulfillment. In this village lived a brave and kind-hearted young woman named Alara. She was known for her beautiful voice and her love for helping others. Despite the many hardships the villagers faced, Alara always maintained a hopeful spirit, believing that the magic of the Starlit Bridge could one day be real. One evening, as the full moon rose high in the sky, Alara decided it was time to see if the legend was true. She carefully prepared a small pouch with a token of each person in the village, a piece of thread from a grandmother's quilt, a button from a child's coat, a feather from a farmer's hat, each item representing the hopes and dreams of her fellow villagers. With the pouch in hand and a heart full of hope, Alara made her way to the Starlit Bridge. As she stepped onto the bridge, the soft, starry glow seemed to welcome her. She walked slowly, taking in the shimmering beauty of the bridge and the reflection of the moonlight on the river below. At the center of the bridge, Alara paused and took out the pouch. She closed her eyes and whispered her wish. "I wish for the well-being and happiness of my village. May their dreams come true and may they find the prosperity they deserve." As Alara finished her wish, the bridge's light grew brighter, and a gentle breeze carried the starry glow across the river. The water began to shimmer with a radiant light, and the stars in the sky seemed to dance in harmony with the moon's reflection. Suddenly, a figure appeared before her, a graceful being with shimmering wings and a gown made of stardust. It was the celestial guardian of the Starlit Bridge. The guardian smiled warmly at Alara. "Your wish has been heard, dear child," the guardian said with a voice as gentle as the night breeze. "You have given your heart selflessly for the sake of others. Because of your pure spirit, I will grant the wish you have made." The guardian reached out and touched the pouch of tokens. As she did, the items glowed with a magical light. The stars in the sky aligned to form a beautiful constellation that seemed to bless the village with a warm, golden light. "The magic of the Starlit Bridge is not just in the wishing but in the selflessness and love you have shown," the guardian continued. "Your village will soon find the happiness and prosperity they seek." With a wave of her hand, the celestial guardian faded into the night sky, leaving Alara with a heart full of joy and hope. As she walked back to the village, she saw the first signs of change. The fields were beginning to bloom with vibrant colors, the villagers were smiling and working together, and a sense of prosperity was in the air. Alara's wish had indeed come true. The village thrived, and the Starlit Bridge became a cherished symbol of the power of selflessness and hope. The villagers celebrated with a grand feast and a festival under the stars, honoring Alara's courage and the magic of the bridge. From that day on, the story of Alara and the Starlit Bridge was told and retold, reminding everyone that the true magic of the world lies in the kindness and love we share with others. And as the stars continued to shine brightly over the bridge, the village lived in harmony and happiness, forever touched by the enchanting tale of the Starlit Bridge. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a charming village nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, there was a quaint little shop known as the Enchanted Lantern. The shop was run by a kind old woman named Granny Maeve, who was famous for her magical lanterns. Each lantern had its own special charm, and it was said that they could light up the darkest night and grant wishes to those who truly needed them. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle, a young girl named Eliza wandered into Granny Maeve's shop. Eliza was a curious and kind-hearted girl with a deep love for stories about magic and wonder. Her family had fallen on hard times, and she hoped that Granny Maeve's lanterns might bring a bit of light to their struggles. Granny Maeve greeted Eliza with a warm smile. "Welcome, dear. What brings you to my shop this evening?" Eliza hesitated for a moment before speaking. "My family is having a difficult time. I've heard that your lanterns are magical. I was hoping one might help us." Granny Maeve's eyes twinkled with understanding. "Ah, magic is a wondrous thing, but it requires a pure heart and a kind wish. Let me show you something special." She led Eliza to a corner of the shop where a single, ornate lantern sat on a pedestal. It was adorned with intricate patterns and shimmered softly with an inner light. "This is the Lantern of Hope," Granny Maeve said. It is said to grant one heartfelt wish to those who seek it with genuine intentions. Eliza's eyes widened with wonder. How does it work? Granny Maeve explained, you must make your wish while holding the lantern close to your heart. But remember, the lantern's magic works in mysterious ways. It may not always grant what you expect but will give you what you truly need. Eliza took the lantern of hope with a grateful heart and made her way back home. As she held the lantern close, she whispered her wish for her family's troubles to be eased. The lantern glowed softly, and Eliza felt a warm sense of hope wash over her. That night, as Eliza and her family sat down for a modest dinner, they noticed something strange. The food they had prepared seemed to magically multiply, providing more than enough for everyone to enjoy. Their spirits lifted as they realized they had more than they had hoped for. Over the following days, unexpected things began to happen. Their crops, which had been failing, started to flourish. Neighbors who had not spoken in years began to reach out and offer help. A generous merchant arrived in the village, offering work to those in need. Eliza's family found their lives gradually improving in ways they hadn't imagined. One evening, Eliza returned to Granny Maeve's shop to express her gratitude. The lantern of hope worked wonders for my family. Our lives have changed so much. Granny Maeve smiled gently. The lantern's magic revealed the hope and kindness that were always within your hearts. Sometimes, the true magic is not in the lantern itself but in the love and support of those around us. Eliza nodded, understanding the deeper meaning of the lantern's gift. Thank you for showing me that. I will always cherish the lesson. From then on, Eliza and her family continued to thrive, and they made it a point to help others in need, sharing the magic of kindness and hope they had experienced. The village prospered as the spirit of generosity and support grew stronger, and the lantern of hope became a symbol of the power of a kind heart and the strength of community. And so, the tale of the lantern of hope lived on, reminding everyone that true magic lies in the love we share and the hopes we nurture. Once upon a time, in the enchanting kingdom of Eldoria, there was a village called Glimmerbrook, nestled between the Crystal Mountains and the Enchanted Forest. The villagers lived in harmony with nature, and their lives were filled with joy and prosperity. Every night, the moon shone brightly over the village, casting a silver glow on everything it touched. The villagers believed that the moonlight was a gift from Luna, the moon goddess, who watched over them from the night sky. Among the villagers was a young girl named Lyra, known for her adventurous spirit and boundless curiosity. Lyra loved exploring the enchanted forest, where she often played with the woodland creatures and listened to the whispers of the ancient trees. Her grandmother, a wise and gentle woman named Alara, often told her stories about the Moonlit Meadow, a mystical place said to be hidden deep within the forest. According to legend, the Moonlit Meadow was a sanctuary where Luna herself descended to bless the land with her magic. One fateful evening, as Lyra and her grandmother sat by the fireplace, Alara spoke of a dark shadow that had begun to creep over Eldoria. The moonlight was fading, and with it, the vitality of the village. Crops withered, and the once clear streams turned murky. The villagers grew anxious, fearing that Luna had abandoned them. The Moonlit Meadow holds the key to saving our village, Alara said softly. But it can only be found by one with a pure heart and an unyielding spirit. Determined to save her village, Lyra set off early the next morning. She packed a small satchel with provisions and took her grandmother's silver pendant, a family heirloom said to be blessed by Luna herself. With the pendant around her neck, Lyra ventured into the enchanted forest, following the faint traces of moonlight that filtered through the trees. As she journeyed deeper into the forest, Lyra encountered a wise old owl named Orion. Orion had been watching over the forest for centuries and knew of the Moonlit Meadow. "I can guide you," he said in a hooty voice, "but first, you must help me. A dark curse has befallen the sacred oak, the heart of this forest. Its branches are withering, and it no longer sings to the moon." Lyra agreed to help and followed Orion to the sacred oak. The tree stood tall but looked sickly, its once vibrant leaves now dull and lifeless. Lyra placed her hands on the trunk and closed her eyes, focusing on the pendant's warmth against her chest. She sang a soft, melodious tune, a lullaby her grandmother had taught her. As she sang, the pendant began to glow, and the moonlight around her intensified. The sacred oak's leaves slowly regained their color, and the tree hummed with life once more. Orion, impressed by Lyra's pure heart, guided her further into the forest. They reached a river guarded by a majestic silver stag. "To cross this river, you must prove your courage," the stag declared. On the other side, a frightened fawn was trapped on a narrow ledge, surrounded by rushing waters. Without hesitation, Lyra waded into the river, battling the strong currents. She reached the fawn and gently lifted it onto her shoulders. Carefully, she made her way back across the river, where the stag waited with an approving nod. "You have shown great courage," the stag said. "You may cross." Lyra and Orion continued their journey until they reached the foot of the Crystal Mountains. A narrow, winding path led up to a hidden cave, where Luna's light was said to be strongest. Inside the cave, Lyra found a shimmering pool of water, reflecting the moonlight. In the center of the pool stood a beautiful, glowing flower, the lunar blossom, a symbol of Luna's blessing. As Lyra approached the lunar blossom, a dark shadow loomed over her. The shadow serpent, a creature of darkness, had been guarding the blossom, feeding off its light. "To claim the blossom, you must defeat me," the serpent hissed, its eyes glowing with malice. Lyra, clutching her pendant, stepped forward. She remembered her grandmother's stories and the power of the moonlight. With a deep breath, she raised the pendant high, and a beam of pure moonlight shot forth, striking the serpent. The creature recoiled, hissing in pain, but Lyra stood her ground, her heart filled with determination. "Luna, guide me," she whispered, and the moonlight intensified, enveloping the serpent in a brilliant glow. The shadow serpent writhed and then dissolved into the light, leaving nothing but a faint wisp of smoke. Lyra reached out and gently plucked the lunar blossom from the pool. With the blossom in hand, Lyra made her way back to Glimmerbrook. As she walked, the moonlight followed her, growing brighter with each step. When she returned to the village, the lunar blossom's light spread over the land, restoring the crops and purifying the streams. The villagers gathered, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. Elara embraced Lyra, tears of joy in her eyes. "You have done it, my dear. You have saved us all." That night, Luna descended from the heavens to thank Lyra for her bravery and selflessness. "You have proven yourself worthy of my blessing," Luna said, her voice like the sweetest melody. "The moonlit meadow will forever be open to you, and my light will always shine upon Eldoria." From that day on, Lyra was known as the Moonlight Guardian. She continued to explore the forest, protecting the land and its creatures. The village of Glimmerbrook flourished, bathed in the eternal glow of Luna's light. And so, Eldoria lived happily ever after, forever grateful for the courage and heart of a young girl named Lyra, who brought the moonlight back to their world. The end. Once upon a time, in a village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was a humble garden known only to the villagers as the Moonlit Garden. It was a place of wonder and magic, where flowers glowed softly in the dark and the air was always filled with a sweet, enchanting melody. In this village lived a young girl named Elara, who had always been drawn to the Moonlit Garden. Her parents had told her many tales of its wonders, but no one was ever allowed to visit it at night. They said the garden was guarded by mystical creatures who only allowed the pure of heart to enter. One evening, as the full moon rose high in the sky, Elara's curiosity got the better of her. She quietly slipped out of her home and made her way to the moonlit garden. The air was cool, and the moonlight cast a silvery glow on everything around her. As she approached the garden's gate, she noticed a small key hanging on a vine-covered branch. With trembling hands, Elara took the key and unlocked the gate. As it creaked open, she was greeted by the most breathtaking sight she had ever seen. The garden was filled with flowers of every color imaginable, their petals shimmering like gems. Tiny lights flitted around, like fireflies, but they were not insects. They were delicate sprites with iridescent wings. Elara took a deep breath and stepped inside. As she wandered through the garden, she noticed that every flower seemed to have its own unique glow. Some were soft pastels, while others were vivid, almost otherworldly hues. In the center of the garden was a large, ancient tree with branches that seemed to touch the stars. As she neared the tree, a gentle voice spoke from behind her. "Welcome, Elara." Startled, she turned to see a beautiful woman with flowing silver hair and a gown that sparkled like the night sky. She was the Moon Queen, the guardian of the garden. "I've heard tales of this place all my life," Elara said, her eyes wide with wonder. "But I never thought I'd see it for myself." The Moon Queen smiled kindly. "The moonlit garden is a place of magic and dreams. It only reveals itself to those who seek it with a pure heart. You have shown great courage and curiosity, and for that, you are welcome here." Elara felt a warm glow of happiness and asked, "Can I stay and explore?" The Moon Queen nodded. "You may stay as long as you wish, but remember, the magic of the garden must be respected. There is one special flower here, known as the Midnight Blossom, that blooms only under the light of the full moon. It is said to grant a single wish to those who find it." With that, the Moon Queen vanished into a swirl of stardust, leaving Elara to explore the garden. She wandered among the flowers, her eyes scanning for the midnight blossom. As the night grew deeper, the garden seemed to come alive even more. The flowers whispered secrets, and the sprites danced in joyful circles. Finally, Elara spotted a flower unlike any other. It was a deep, midnight blue with petals that seemed to sparkle like the night sky. She knew she had found the midnight blossom. Her heart raced with excitement as she approached it. "What should I wish for?" she pondered. She thought of her family, her friends, and her village. She wanted something that would bring happiness and harmony to all. After a moment of contemplation, she closed her eyes and made her wish. "I wish for the moonlit garden's magic to bring peace and joy to my village," she said softly. The flower's petals glowed brighter, and a gentle breeze swept through the garden. Elara felt a sense of contentment and knew her wish had been heard. As dawn approached, the garden began to fade, and the moonlight dimmed. Elara found herself standing outside the garden's gate once more. She glanced back one last time and saw the gate gently closing, as if to say farewell. Returning to her village, Elara found it to be transformed. The once quiet streets were now bustling with joy and laughter. The village had been touched by the garden's magic, and the people seemed to live in perfect harmony. Elara never spoke of her night in the moonlit garden, but she knew that the magic she had wished for had made her village a place of wonder and happiness. And every now and then, on a clear, moonlit night, she would look up at the sky and smile, knowing that the magic of the moonlit garden was always watching over her. And so, Elara lived happily ever after, in a village where dreams and magic came true. Once upon a time, in a tranquil valley surrounded by rolling hills and shimmering lakes, there was a tiny village known for its breathtaking night skies. Each evening, the villagers would gather to watch the stars twinkle and dance in the sky, filling their hearts with wonder. The most enchanting legend of all was the tale of the Lantern of Stars, a magical lantern said to be able to capture the light of the stars and grant one wish to anyone who could find it. In this village lived a young girl named Lyra. Lyra was known for her boundless curiosity and love of the night sky. Every night, she would gaze up at the stars and dream of discovering the Lantern of Stars. Her dreams weren't just about making a wish for herself, but rather using the lantern's magic to help her village, which had recently suffered from a series of unfortunate events that left the fields barren and the river running dry. One crisp autumn evening, Lyra decided it was time to embark on a quest to find the Lantern of Stars and restore hope to her village. The first challenge, the Whispering Forest. Lyra's journey began in the Whispering Forest, a mystical place where the trees seemed to speak in hushed tones and the leaves rustled with secrets. As she ventured deeper into the forest, she came across an ancient oak tree with a face carved into its trunk. To pass through the Whispering Forest, the tree said in a voice as old as time, "You must solve this riddle. I have keys but open no locks. I have space but no room. You can enter but not go outside." "What am I?" Lyra thought for a moment and answered, "A piano." The ancient oak tree's eyes sparkled with approval, and it parted its branches to reveal a hidden path. "Follow this path to continue your quest," the tree advised. The second challenge, the River of Reflections. Lyra followed the path and soon reached the River of Reflections, a serene river with water so clear it mirrored the sky perfectly. The river was guarded by a graceful swan whose feathers glistened like moonlight. To cross the River of Reflections, the swan said in a melodious voice, "You must answer this question. The more you take, the more you leave behind." "What am I?" Lyra pondered the question and replied, "Footsteps." The swan's eyes shone with delight, and it flapped its wings, creating a bridge of sparkling water lilies across the river. Lyra carefully crossed the bridge, her heart filled with hope. The third challenge, the Cave of Echoes. On the other side of the river, Lyra arrived at the entrance of the Cave of Echoes, a grand cavern where the walls seemed to hum with a soft, resonant melody. At the entrance stood a large, ornate door with intricate star patterns. A gentle voice echoed from within the cave, "To unlock this door and find the Lantern of Stars, you must reveal your true heart. Share your deepest wish and prove that you seek it with sincerity." Lyra took a deep breath and spoke with honesty, "My deepest wish is to find the Lantern of Stars and use its magic to bring prosperity and joy back to my village. I want to help my people and restore the land that has suffered." The cave's walls began to glow with a warm, golden light, and the ancient door slowly creaked open, revealing a chamber bathed in a soft, celestial light. In the center of the chamber stood the Lantern of Stars, its surface shimmering with the light of countless stars. The revelation, the lantern's gift. With the Lantern of Stars in her hands, Lyra returned to her village. As she held the lantern up to the night sky, its light began to shine brightly, sending a cascade of starry beams across the land. The barren fields turned lush and green, the river flowed with crystal-clear water, and a sense of joy and prosperity returned to the village. The villagers gathered around Lyra, amazed by the transformation. They celebrated her bravery and the magic of the Lantern of Stars, grateful for the return of their land's abundance and happiness. The tale of Lyra's quest and the Lantern of Stars became a cherished story in the village, a reminder of the power of hope, courage, and the magic that lies within the heart of those who seek to bring light and joy to others. Under the twinkling stars and the magic of the lantern, the village thrived once more, forever grateful for the girl who had restored their dreams and their land. Once upon a time, in a land where the stars kissed the earth and the moon bathed the world in its gentle glow, there was a kingdom known as Luminera. This kingdom was ruled by a wise and kind king named Orion and his equally wise queen, Selene. They had a daughter named Luna, who was as radiant and enchanting as the moon itself. Luna was adored by all in the kingdom. She had a gift unlike any other, she could communicate with the stars. Every night, she would sit by her window and whisper to them, and they would twinkle back, sharing their ancient secrets and wisdom. Her parents and the people of Luminera cherished her for her kind heart and her ability to bring light and hope to everyone around her. However, not all was peaceful in Luminera. A dark sorcerer named Morbius envied the kingdom's happiness and Luna's unique gift. He lived in the Shadowlands, a desolate place where no light could penetrate, and plotted to steal Luna's powers for himself. He believed that with her abilities, he could control the stars and plunge the world into eternal darkness. One fateful night, Morbius cast a powerful spell that enveloped the kingdom in a thick, impenetrable fog. He kidnapped Luna, taking her to his lair in the Shadowlands. The kingdom fell into despair, and the stars dimmed, mourning the loss of their beloved princess. King Orion and Queen Selene were heartbroken, but they did not lose hope. They called upon the bravest knight in the kingdom, Sir Arion, to rescue their daughter. Sir Arion was known for his valor and unwavering courage. With a heavy heart but a determined spirit, he set off on his quest, guided only by the faint light of the stars that still shone for Luna. As Sir Arion journeyed through treacherous forests and over perilous mountains, he encountered various magical creatures. A wise old owl named Athena offered him guidance, a mischievous fox named Vixen provided clever tricks to evade traps, and a gentle deer named Elara gave him strength and healing herbs. Each creature, touched by Luna's kindness in the past, was eager to help in her rescue. After days of arduous travel, Sir Arion finally reached the Shadowlands. The darkness was suffocating, but he pressed on, driven by the thought of Luna's light. He found Morbius's lair, a towering fortress of black stone, surrounded by swirling shadows. Inside, Luna was trapped in a crystal cage, her light fading. Morbius stood over her, chanting a spell to drain her powers. Sir Arion knew he had to act quickly. He took a deep breath and called upon the gifts from the magical creatures, Athena's wisdom, Vixen's cunning, and Alara's strength. With their help, he managed to outwit Morbius's guards and confront the dark sorcerer. A fierce battle ensued. Morbius's dark magic clashed with Sir Arion's bravery. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Luna mustered her remaining strength and called out to the stars. They responded with a burst of light so brilliant it shattered her crystal cage and blinded Morbius. Seizing the opportunity, Sir Arion struck the sorcerer with his sword, breaking his dark spell. With Morbius defeated, the shadows dissipated, and Luna's light returned, brighter than ever. She and Sir Arion made their way back to Luminera, where they were welcomed with tears of joy and relief. The stars shone brightly once more, celebrating the return of their beloved princess. King Orion and Queen Selene embraced their daughter, grateful for her safe return and the bravery of Sir Arion. Luna's gift had not only saved her kingdom but had also forged unbreakable bonds of friendship and loyalty. From that day forward, Luminera flourished under the gentle light of the Moonlight Princess. Luna continued to communicate with the stars, sharing their wisdom and guiding her people with compassion and grace. Sir Arion was hailed as a hero and became Luna's closest advisor and friend. And so, under the eternal glow of the moon and stars, the kingdom of Luminera lived in peace and harmony, forever grateful for the light and love that Luna brought into their lives. And they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a quaint village called Willowbrook, there was a hidden valley known for its magical flowers. These flowers, called Lumina Blooms, glowed with a soft light and were said to grant a single wish to anyone who found them. The valley was protected by an ancient guardian, a gentle giant named Bramble, who watched over the flowers with great care. In Willowbrook lived a young girl named Mira, who had a heart full of wonder and dreams. Mira had always been fascinated by the stories of the Lumina Blooms and often daydreamed about discovering them. Her best friend was a sprightly squirrel named Nutmeg, who loved to explore and had a keen sense of adventure. One morning, Mira and Nutmeg set out on a quest to find the Lumina Blooms. They packed a small basket with provisions and followed the winding path that led to the hidden valley. The path was lined with vibrant wildflowers and ancient oak trees, each whispering tales of old. As they approached the entrance to the valley, they encountered a large, ornate gate covered in ivy. The gate was guarded by a stone statue of Bramble, the giant. Beside the gate was an inscription that read, "To enter the valley and find the Lumina Blooms, you must pass 3 trials of heart and courage. Only those with true intentions may proceed." Mira and Nutmeg exchanged determined looks and stepped through the gate, entering the magical valley. The first trial awaited them, the trial of kindness. They found themselves in a meadow filled with magical creatures in distress. A family of fireflies had lost their way, and a nest of baby birds needed help. Mira and Nutmeg worked together to guide the fireflies back to their home and to care for the baby birds. Mira gently placed the birds back in their nest, and Nutmeg used his nimble paws to gather food for them. The creatures thanked them warmly, and the meadow seemed to sparkle with gratitude. Having successfully completed the first trial, they were guided further into the valley by a soft, golden light. The second trial was the trial of wisdom. They arrived at a serene pond surrounded by floating lily pads. In the center of the pond was a riddle-inscribed stone. "Speak the truth to find your way, what is the key to endless day?" Mira pondered the riddle, thinking about the stories she had heard. "The key to endless day is the sun," she finally answered. As soon as she spoke, the stone glowed warmly, and a pathway of glowing lily pads appeared, leading them to the next part of the valley. Their final challenge was the trial of bravery. They reached a clearing where a fierce storm was raging. The wind howled and lightning crackled. In the center of the storm stood a large, ancient tree that appeared to be in trouble. Bramble, the guardian giant, was struggling to hold the tree upright. Mira, though frightened by the storm, took a deep breath and, with Nutmeg by her side, approached the tree. She grabbed hold of its branches and used all her strength to help Bramble. Nutmeg scampered up the tree, offering support and encouragement. Together, they managed to steady the tree and protect it from the storm. As the storm subsided, Bramble, now free from his burden, stood tall and smiled warmly at Mira and Nutmeg. "You have shown great kindness, wisdom, and bravery. The Lumina blooms are yours to find." Bramble led them to a hidden grove where the Lumina blooms grew in abundance. The flowers glowed softly, casting a gentle light over the grove. Mira and Nutmeg marveled at their beauty and, as the legend promised, were granted a single wish. Mira wished for the happiness and prosperity of Willowbrook and its people. As they made their way back to the village, the Lumina Bloom's magic began to spread, bringing newfound joy and prosperity to Willowbrook. The villagers celebrated Mira and Nutmeg's bravery and kindness with a grand feast, and the valley became a place of wonder and delight for all. And so, the village of Willowbrook thrived under the magic of the Lumina Blooms, forever touched by the courage and kindness of a brave girl and her loyal squirrel friend. The end. In a coastal village named Seabreeze, where the ocean waves whispered tales of old, there stood a grand lighthouse on a rocky cliff. The lighthouse had guided countless sailors safely to shore with its bright, steady beam. The keeper of this lighthouse was a kind old man named Elias, who had dedicated his life to ensuring the light never went out. Elias was beloved by the villagers, who would often bring him gifts of fresh bread and stories from the sea. But there was one thing Elias cherished above all else, a mysterious, ancient compass he had inherited from his grandfather. The compass was not an ordinary one, it had a golden arrow that always pointed to the heart's deepest desire. The great storm one day, a great storm rolled in, fierce and wild. The sea roared, and the wind howled, tossing ships like toys. The villagers of Seabreeze huddled in their homes, fearful for their loved ones at sea. Elias stood at the top of the lighthouse, his heart heavy with worry. The storm raged on, and the lighthouse beam struggled to cut through the darkness. As he peered through the rain, Elias noticed that the light was dimming. The storm had damaged the lantern, and the flame was about to go out. The quest for the flame, knowing that without the light, the ships would be lost, Elias decided to make a daring journey to retrieve a special flame from the legendary Firefall Falls, a magical place said to have a never-ending flame. Elias packed a small satchel with supplies and took the ancient compass. The compass's golden arrow pointed steadfastly toward the north, guiding him through the stormy night. The challenges Elias braved the stormy sea in a sturdy boat, using his compass to navigate through the raging waters. Along his journey, he faced several challenges. 1. The rocky passage ** Elias had to steer through a treacherous rocky passage where giant waves crashed against the cliffs. He used his knowledge of the sea and the compass to find the safest route. 2. The mischievous merfolk * in the midst of the storm, Elias encountered a group of mischievous merfolk who tried to lead him astray with their enchanting songs. Elias remembered the stories his grandfather had told him and sang a heartfelt song of his own, which calmed the merfolk and earned their respect. 3. The dark forest * upon reaching the shore, Elias had to cross a dark forest where the trees whispered haunting sounds. The compass's golden arrow guided him through the forest, and he used his lantern to light the way. The Firefall Falls. After a long and arduous journey, Elias finally reached the Firefall Falls. The sight was breathtaking, flames cascaded down the rocks like a waterfall of fire, and the air was warm and comforting. Elias carefully collected a small portion of the magical flame into a vial, ensuring it was securely contained. The return with the vial in hand, Elias made his way back to the lighthouse. The storm was still raging, but his determination was unwavering. He navigated through the rocky passage, resisted the merfolk's tricks, and crossed the dark forest. As he reached the lighthouse, he saw that the beam was nearly out. With great care, Elias added the magical flame to the lantern. The moment the flame touched the lantern, it blazed brightly, cutting through the storm's darkness like a beacon of hope. The ships at sea, guided by the renewed light, safely found their way to shore. As the storm subsided, the villagers emerged from their homes, cheering for Elias and the safety of their loved ones. The villagers threw a grand celebration in Elias's honor. The ancient compass, which had guided him through the storm, was placed in a special spot in the lighthouse, where it continued to point toward the heart's deepest desires. The legacy from that day on, the lighthouse was known not just for its guiding light, but also for the courage and selflessness of its keeper. Elias continued to care for the lighthouse with the same dedication, and his story was told to every child in Seabreeze. And whenever the villagers faced their own storms, they would remember Elias's bravery and the magical flame that had saved their lives. The golden arrow of the ancient compass was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and courage could light the way. Once upon a time, in the peaceful village of Luminera, nestled at the edge of a dense, ancient forest, there lived a young girl named Stella. Stella was known for her kind heart and her love for the night sky. Every evening, she would sit by the window, gazing at the stars and dreaming of adventures beyond the horizon. One fateful night, as Stella watched the sky, a brilliant streak of light shot across the heavens and landed somewhere deep within the forest. Curious and feeling an inexplicable pull, Stella decided to investigate. She packed a small bag with essentials and, under the cover of the moonlight, ventured into the forest. The forest was dark and mysterious, with shadows dancing between the trees. Stella's heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. She followed the faint glow that seemed to beckon her deeper into the woods. After a while, she stumbled upon a clearing where the light was brightest. There, she found a shimmering, blue stone nestled in the grass. As she picked it up, it pulsed with warmth and energy. Suddenly, a soft, musical voice filled the air. "You have found the Starstone," said the voice. "I am Luna, the Moon Guardian. This stone holds the power to restore balance to our world, but it has been stolen by the dark sorcerer who resides in the Shadow Mountain. You, Stella, have been chosen to return it to its rightful place." Determined to help, Stella agreed to take on the quest. Luna bestowed upon her a small, silver pendant in the shape of a crescent moon. "This will guide you and protect you on your journey," she said. As Stella set out towards Shadow Mountain, she was joined by a wise and gentle owl named Orion. "I will help you navigate through the forest and the challenges ahead," he hooted. Together, they traveled through the enchanted forest, braving thorny underbrush and crossing treacherous rivers. One evening, as they rested by a crystal-clear stream, they were approached by a sleek, silver wolf named Lyra. "I have heard of your quest," she said. "The path ahead is perilous, but I will lend you my strength and knowledge of the mountain." With Orion and Lyra by her side, Stella felt more confident. They continued their journey, facing numerous trials. They passed through the Whispering Caves, where voices of lost travelers tried to lead them astray, and climbed the steep, icy slopes of Shadow Mountain. Finally, they reached the Dark Sorcerer's lair, a fortress carved into the mountain itself. The air was thick with dark magic, and the entrance was guarded by fearsome creatures. Drawing upon their combined courage, Stella, Orion, and Lyra approached the gate. Using the power of the Starstone, Stella illuminated the fortress with a brilliant light, dispelling the shadows and weakening the Dark Sorcerer's magic. They confronted the sorcerer, a tall figure cloaked in darkness, with eyes that glowed like embers. "You cannot defeat me," the sorcerer hissed. "The darkness will always prevail." But Stella, holding the Starstone high, replied with determination, "Light and hope will always find a way." The Starstone's light grew brighter, forcing the sorcerer to retreat. With one final burst of energy, the stone shattered the sorcerer's dark magic, breaking his hold over the land. The fortress crumbled, and the sorcerer vanished into the night. With the sorcerer defeated, Stella placed the Starstone in its rightful place atop the mountain. The sky cleared, revealing a dazzling array of stars, brighter than ever before. The balance was restored, and the land of Luminera flourished once again. Stella, Orion, and Lyra returned to the village as heroes. The villagers celebrated their bravery and welcomed them with open arms. The moon shone brightly, and Luna's voice echoed in Stella's heart, thanking her for her courage and kindness. From that day on, Stella's name was remembered as a legend, a beacon of hope and light. She continued to explore the world, always guided by the stars and the wisdom of her loyal friends. And so, Stella lived a life full of adventure and wonder, under the watchful eyes of the moon and stars. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a land where the mountains kissed the sky and rivers sang sweet melodies, there was a quaint village called Eldergrove. Eldergrove was nestled in a lush valley, surrounded by towering trees and blooming meadows. It was a peaceful place where magic was as common as wildflowers, but it was the village's greatest secret that made it truly special, an enchanted lantern. This lantern wasn't just an ordinary light, it had the power to grant one wish to anyone pure of heart who discovered its magic. It had been hidden away in the village for centuries, waiting for the right person to find it. The story of the lantern began with a young girl named Lila. Lila was known throughout Eldergrove for her kindness and bravery. One day, as she explored the forest near her village, she stumbled upon an ancient oak tree with a hollow trunk. Curiosity twinkling in her eyes, Lila reached inside and pulled out a dusty, ornate lantern. The lantern was beautiful but covered in cobwebs and dust. As she wiped it clean, a soft glow began to emanate from it. Lila's heart leapt with excitement, for she had heard the legends of the magical lantern but never truly believed they were real. The next morning, Lila returned to the forest to consult with the village elder, wise old Grandma Agnes. She had seen many things in her lifetime and knew the stories well. Grandma Agnes's eyes widened when she saw the lantern. "This is the fabled lantern of Eldergrove," she said, her voice trembling with awe. "It is said to grant a single wish to someone who is truly pure of heart." Lila's mind raced with possibilities. She thought of wishing for endless wealth or power, but those thoughts felt hollow compared to the warmth she felt when helping others. She knew her wish had to be something that would benefit not just her but the entire village. As she walked through Eldergrove, she saw the villagers facing various troubles. The crops had failed due to a recent drought, and the well that supplied water was almost dry. The villagers were disheartened, and their once vibrant community seemed to be losing hope. Lila knew what she had to do. That night, she gathered the villagers and explained her plan. With their support, she made her wish. Holding the lantern high, she said, "I wish for Eldergrove to be blessed with abundant water, so our crops can grow, our wells can fill, and our village can thrive once more." The lantern glowed brightly, and a gentle breeze swirled around them, carrying with it the soothing scent of rain. The next morning, the skies opened up, and a soft, steady rain began to fall. The villagers cheered with joy as the dry earth soaked up the much-needed water. The crops began to recover, and the well filled to the brim. As days turned into weeks, Eldergrove flourished like never before. The once dying crops were now thriving, and the village returned to its vibrant, joyous self. Lila's selfless wish had not only restored the village but also strengthened the bonds between the villagers. One evening, as Lila walked through the meadow, she saw a small, golden light fluttering in the air. It was the spirit of the lantern, now free of its duties. The spirit spoke to her in a gentle, melodious voice, "Thank you, Lila. Your pure heart and selfless wish have brought joy to Eldergrove. Though the lantern's magic is now fulfilled, the true magic lies in the kindness you've shown." With that, the spirit faded into the twilight, leaving behind a gentle, warm glow that bathed the village in a serene light. From that day on, the lantern was kept in the village square as a reminder of the power of selflessness and the magic that lives within every kind heart. And so, Eldergrove thrived, not just from the blessings of a magical lantern but from the love and care of its people. As for Lila, she continued to help her village with the same kindness and bravery that had guided her to her greatest adventure. And they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in the heart of a mystical land called Eldoria, there was a charming village known as Rosewood. Rosewood was renowned for its fragrant roses that bloomed year-round, filling the air with their sweet scent. The villagers were kind-hearted and lived peacefully, but their tranquil life was often disrupted by the fear of an ancient curse said to lie in the forbidden forest at the edge of the village. At the center of Rosewood lived a spirited young girl named Arya. Arya had a wild curiosity and an adventurous spirit, which often led her into the forest despite the warnings of the elders. Her best friend was a wise old owl named Sage, who had a knack for solving riddles and loved sharing ancient lore. One sunny afternoon, while exploring the outskirts of the Forbidden Forest, Arya and Sage discovered an old, tattered map hidden inside a hollow tree. The map detailed a path through the forest leading to the legendary Crystal of Eternity, a gem of immense power said to break any curse. Knowing the crystal could bring lasting peace to Rosewood, Arya decided to embark on the quest to find it. With Sage perched on her shoulder, Arya followed the map into the forest. The trees were tall and dense, casting long shadows that danced in the dappled sunlight. As they ventured deeper, they encountered their first challenge, a series of gigantic, enchanted thorn bushes blocking their path. The thorns shimmered with a strange, magical aura. Suddenly, a graceful deer appeared, its eyes filled with wisdom. "To pass through the thorns, you must solve my riddle," the deer said softly. "I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, and I can drown. What am I?" Arya pondered for a moment and then replied, "You are fire." The deer nodded approvingly, and the enchanted thorns parted, revealing a clear path. Arya and Sage continued their journey, arriving at a tranquil glade where a sparkling brook babbled merrily. Guarding the brook was a beautiful swan with feathers as white as snow. "To cross the brook, you must show kindness," the swan said. "Bring life back to this wilted flower." She gestured to a drooping blossom on the bank. Arya knelt by the flower and gently cupped it in her hands. She sang a soft, melodic tune, just as her mother had taught her, and the flower began to revive, its petals unfurling and its color returning. The swan smiled and spread its wings, creating a bridge of shimmering water lilies for Arya and Sage to cross. Their final challenge awaited them in a moonlit clearing, where an ancient, gnarled tree stood. In the tree's hollow, a faint glow indicated the presence of the Crystal of Eternity. However, as Arya reached for it, a dark shadow materialized. It was the sorcerer Malakar, who had cast the curse on the forest long ago and now sought the crystal's power for himself. "You dare to claim the crystal?" Malakar snarled, his eyes blazing with fury. "It belongs to me." Arya stood her ground, her heart pounding but her spirit unwavering. "The crystal belongs to those who seek to use its power for good," she declared. "You have no right to it." Malakar raised his staff, ready to strike with dark magic, but Sage swooped down and snatched the staff from his grasp. In the confusion, Arya seized the crystal and held it high. A brilliant light burst forth, dispelling the shadows and breaking Malakar's hold on the forest. With the crystal's magic, Arya made a wish for the curse to be lifted and for peace to return to Rosewood. The light from the crystal enveloped the forest, healing the land and restoring it to its former beauty. Malakar, defeated and powerless, vanished into the depths of the forest. Arya and Sage returned to Rosewood as heroes. The villagers celebrated their bravery, and the Crystal of Eternity was placed in a special shrine where its magic could continue to protect the village. Arya's name became a legend, inspiring generations to come with her courage and compassion. And so, the village of Rosewood thrived under the watchful eyes of its brave young hero, living happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a kingdom where the seas were as blue as sapphires and the skies were always clear, there was a coastal village named Seabrook. This village was known for its lively markets, colorful festivals, and, most importantly, the legend of the Silver Sea Serpent, a mythical creature said to bring fortune and protect the village from any harm. The villagers had long told tales of the Silver Sea Serpent, whose shimmering scales were said to be as bright as moonlight and whose presence brought calm to the roughest seas. However, the serpent had not been seen for many years, and many began to doubt whether the legend was true. Among the villagers was a brave and curious young woman named Elara. Elara loved the sea and was fascinated by the stories of the Silver Sea Serpent. Determined to discover whether the legend was true and to bring back hope to her people, she set out on a journey to find the mythical creature. One crisp morning, Elara boarded her small boat, equipped with only the essentials and a heart full of courage. She sailed across the glistening waters, guided by the ancient map she had found in her grandmother's attic. The map was old and delicate, marked with a series of strange symbols and a path leading to a place called the Isle of Whispering Waves. As Alara approached the Isle of Whispering Waves, the sea began to grow turbulent, and the sky darkened. A fierce storm rolled in, and Alara struggled to keep her boat steady. Just as she feared she would be lost at sea, a brilliant flash of light cut through the storm. A majestic figure emerged from the waves, a silver sea serpent, its scales gleaming like the stars. The silver sea serpent coiled around Alara's boat, its eyes kind and wise. "Fear not, brave Alara," the serpent's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "You have proven your courage by venturing into the heart of the storm. What is it that you seek?" Alara, awestruck but resolute, spoke up. "I seek the truth of the legend. My village, Seabrook, has long depended on the hope that you provide. I wish to see if the stories are true and to restore our faith." The silver sea serpent nodded slowly. "The legend is true, but the magic that binds us is weakening. To restore it, you must complete 3 tasks that will test your heart and your spirit." With that, the serpent led Alara to a hidden cove on the isle where 3 ancient sea treasures lay waiting. The first task was to retrieve the Pearl of Wisdom from a deep underwater cave guarded by a playful school of dolphins. Alara dove into the crystal-clear waters, following the dolphins' guidance. She found the pearl nestled in a bed of coral, its glow illuminating the cave. The second task was to find the Starfish of Courage, hidden among the rocky tide pools. The starfish was said to possess the power of bravery and could only be found by someone who faced their fears. As Alara searched the tide pools, she encountered a large, intimidating sea urchin. Taking a deep breath, she carefully navigated around it, demonstrating her courage. At last, she discovered the starfish clinging to a rock. The third and final task was to retrieve the moonstone shell from the highest peak of the Isle of Whispering Waves. The shell was said to be imbued with the essence of the moon and was guarded by a mystical fog. Alara climbed the rocky peak, navigating through the thick fog with determination and patience. At the summit, she found the moonstone shell glowing softly in the moonlight. With all 3 treasures in hand, Alara returned to the silver sea serpent. The serpent examined the treasures and then spoke, "You have proven your worth and shown the strength of your heart. The magic of the silver sea serpent is restored, and so is the bond between us." The serpent then wrapped itself around Alara's boat and with a powerful surge, it guided her safely back to Seabrook. As Alara approached the village, the storm clouds parted, and a brilliant rainbow appeared over the horizon. The villagers gathered on the shore, their eyes wide with amazement as the silver sea serpent emerged from the waves. Its scales shimmering with renewed magic. The serpent's presence brought an aura of peace and prosperity to Seabrook. The seas calmed, and the village thrived with abundant fish and clear skies. Alara was hailed as a heroine, and the legend of the silver sea serpent was celebrated with renewed wonder and gratitude. From that day on, the silver sea serpent was a cherished guardian of Seabrook, and Alara's bravery became a beacon of hope for generations to come. And so, Seabrook flourished under the watchful eyes of the silver sea serpent, and the legend of the brave young woman who restored the magic was told for years as a reminder of the power of courage and belief. Once upon a time, in a tranquil village nestled beside a shimmering lake, there was a grand willow tree known as Wrenwood. This ancient tree was said to have witnessed centuries of history and was revered for its soothing whispers and the soft rustling of its leaves, which were believed to hold secrets of the past. In this village lived a young girl named Alara. Alara had a special gift. She could sing with a voice so enchanting that it could make even the most stoic heart feel light and joyful. Her songs were beloved by the villagers, who gathered to hear her sing at festivals and gatherings. Despite her talent, Alara felt a deep longing inside her. She wished to discover a melody lost to time, a song that, according to legend, could bring peace and prosperity to her village. One evening, as the full moon bathed the village in its silvery light, Alara wandered to Wrenwood. The whispers of the willow seemed to grow louder as she approached, and she felt drawn to its ancient branches. "Dear Wrenwood," Elara said softly. "I seek a melody from the past, a song that is said to bring great blessings. Can you help me find it?" The willow's leaves rustled gently, and a deep, melodious voice seemed to emerge from the tree. "The song you seek is hidden in the depths of the enchanted forest. To find it, you must face 3 trials, each revealing a piece of the melody and testing the purity of your heart." Determined, Elara set out for the enchanted forest, guided by the soft glow of the moon and the gentle whispers of Wrenwood. As she entered the forest, the trees seemed to part, revealing a path illuminated by sparkling fireflies. The first trial was the trial of courage. Elara arrived at a clearing where a fierce, magical storm raged. The storm was an illusion, created to test her bravery. Elara took a deep breath and stepped into the storm, her heart steady. She focused on her inner strength and sang a calming tune. Her song pierced through the storm's chaos, and the storm dissipated, revealing a golden feather, a clue to the next trial. With the feather in hand, Elara continued her journey. The second trial was the trial of compassion. She came across a small, wounded unicorn lying beneath a willow-like tree. The unicorn was weak and needed help. Elara carefully tended to the unicorn's wounds, using herbs and gentle hands. As she worked, the unicorn's eyes sparkled with gratitude, and it gifted her a shimmering veil of stardust, a key to the final trial. The third trial was the trial of wisdom. Elara reached a hidden grove where an ancient, stone archway stood. The archway had inscriptions in an old, forgotten language. With the vial of stardust, Elara sprinkled a bit on the inscriptions. The stardust revealed a hidden message: to unlock the song, you must harmonize your heart with the melody of the forest. Elara closed her eyes and listened to the sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of nocturnal creatures, the gentle babble of a stream. She began to hum softly, blending her voice with the natural symphony around her. The grove filled with a harmonious melody, and a hidden door in the stone archway slowly opened. Inside, Elara found an ancient, beautifully decorated music box. As she opened it, a magical, golden light enveloped the room, and the forgotten song began to play. The melody was both haunting and uplifting, a perfect blend of harmony and hope. Elara listened intently, absorbing the song's essence. With the song learned, Elara returned to the village. The villagers gathered around Wrenwood to hear the magical melody. As Elara sang, the song resonated through the village, bringing a sense of peace and joy that they had never experienced before. The village flourished as never before, with bountiful harvests and harmonious days. The tale of Elara's quest and the forgotten song became a cherished story in the village, told from generation to generation. Wrenwood remained a revered part of the village, its whispers a reminder of the journey and the melody that had brought such happiness and prosperity. Elara continued to sing, her voice now carrying the magic of the lost song wherever she went. And so, the village thrived under the gentle glow of the moon and the whispering of the ancient willow, with the melody of hope echoing through the ages. The tale of the brave little tailor in the starry cloak. Once upon a time, in a bustling kingdom called Eldoria, there was a small tailor's shop at the edge of the marketplace. The shop was owned by a young and clever tailor named Finn. Finn was not just an ordinary tailor, he was known for his extraordinary skill in creating garments that were both beautiful and magical. His finest work was a cloak that shimmered like the night sky, with tiny stars woven into the fabric. It was said that this cloak held great power, but Finn had never sold it, waiting for the right person who truly needed its magic. One day, news spread throughout the kingdom that Princess Marin, the king's only daughter, had fallen under a terrible curse. She had been given an enchanted spindle by a wicked sorcerer, and when she pricked her finger on it, she fell into a deep sleep. The king's magicians tried everything to wake her, but nothing worked. The entire kingdom was in despair. The king, desperate to save his daughter, sent out a decree: anyone who could break the curse and awaken the princess would be rewarded with half the kingdom and the princess's hand in marriage. Many brave knights and wise scholars attempted to break the curse, but all failed. When Finn heard the news, he knew what he had to do. He took the starry cloak from its special place in his shop and set out for the royal palace. Though he was not a knight or a scholar, Finn believed in the magic of the cloak and his own courage. The journey to the palace was long, and Finn had to pass through the Darkwood Forest, a place known for its dangers and mysteries. As he entered the forest, he was met by a talking raven with feathers as black as night. "Where are you going, little tailor?" the raven croaked. "I'm going to the palace to save Princess Maren," Finn replied. The raven tilted its head and looked at the cloak in Finn's arms. "That cloak you carry is special. But beware, the Darkwood is full of tricks and traps. You will need more than just the cloak's magic." "I will be careful," Finn said. "Thank you for the warning." The raven cawed and flew off into the trees. Finn continued his journey, keeping his wits about him. Soon, he encountered a deep, swirling fog that covered the path. In the fog, he could hear strange whispers, telling him to turn back. But Finn wrapped the starry cloak around himself, and the stars on the cloak began to glow, lighting his way through the fog. The whispers faded, and Finn pressed on. Next, Finn came to a rushing river with no bridge or boat in sight. The river was too wide and too strong to swim across. As he stood at the edge, wondering what to do, he noticed a large, shimmering fish swimming close to the shore. "Why do you look so troubled, little tailor?" the fish asked. "I need to cross the river to reach the palace, but there is no way across," Finn replied. The fish flicked its tail and splashed the water. "I will help you cross, but first, you must help me. There is a hook caught in my fin, and it causes me great pain." Without hesitation, Finn knelt down and carefully removed the hook from the fish's fin. The fish sighed with relief and smiled. "Thank you, kind tailor. Now, climb onto my back, and I will carry you across the river." Finn did as the fish said, and with a powerful leap, the fish carried him safely to the other side. Finn thanked the fish and continued on his way. Finally, Finn arrived at the royal palace. The king greeted him with a weary smile, though he doubted that a simple tailor could succeed where so many others had failed. Nevertheless, he led Finn to the chamber where Princess Maren lay, still under the curse. The room was dark, with thick curtains drawn to block out the light. Princess Maren lay on a grand bed, her face pale and her breathing shallow. The cursed spindle was placed on a pedestal beside her, still glowing with a malevolent light. Finn approached the princess and carefully draped the starry cloak over her. The stars on the cloak began to twinkle brightly, casting a gentle light over the room. As the light touched the cursed spindle, it started to crack and crumble until it dissolved into dust. The curse was broken, and Princess Maren's eyes fluttered open. She took a deep breath and looked around, her face lighting up with relief and gratitude. The king, overwhelmed with joy, embraced his daughter and turned to Finn. "You have done what no one else could," the king said. "You have saved my daughter and our kingdom. As promised, you shall have half the kingdom and the princess's hand in marriage." But Finn, humble as ever, shook his head. "I'm honored by your offer, your majesty, but I'm just a tailor. I have no desire to rule a kingdom or marry a princess. All I wish is to continue my work and help those in need." The king was taken aback by Finn's modesty, but he respected the tailor's wishes. "Very well, Finn. You may keep the starry cloak, and you shall be rewarded with a chest of gold. Our kingdom will always be in your debt." Finn thanked the king and Princess Maren, and after a grand celebration, he returned to his little shop at the edge of the marketplace. The starry cloak was placed back in its special place, waiting for the next time its magic would be needed. And so, the brave little tailor lived happily ever after, content with his simple life, knowing that true courage and kindness are the greatest treasures of all. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a small kingdom nestled between snow-capped mountains and a shimmering lake. This kingdom was known for its beautiful gardens, but the most magnificent of all was the moonlit garden. It was said that this garden only bloomed under the light of the full moon, and its flowers had the power to heal any ailment and bring peace to troubled hearts. The moonlit garden was the creation of Queen Seraphina, who was loved by all for her wisdom and kindness. She tended to the garden herself, ensuring that it remained a place of beauty and solace. However, as the years passed, Queen Seraphina grew old and frail. The kingdom began to worry about who would care for the garden when she was gone. In a nearby village, there lived a young girl named Elara. Elara had a special gift: she could speak to plants and understand their needs. She often helped her neighbors with their gardens, and her small cottage was always surrounded by vibrant, blooming flowers. When Elara heard about Queen Seraphina's plight, she felt a calling deep within her heart to help. One evening, as the full moon rose high in the sky, Elara made her way to the palace. She approached the gates and requested an audience with the queen. The guards, knowing of her reputation, allowed her in. Elara found Queen Seraphina resting in the moonlit garden, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the moon. "Your Majesty," Elara said with a bow, "I have come to offer my help. I wish to tend to the moonlit garden and ensure it continues to bloom and bring joy to our kingdom." Queen Seraphina looked at Elara with kind, knowing eyes. "I have heard of your gift, Elara. The garden has whispered your name to me. But tending the moonlit garden is no ordinary task. It requires more than just a green thumb, it requires a heart full of love and dedication." Elara nodded, her determination unwavering. "I understand, Your Majesty. I promise to care for the garden with all my heart." The queen smiled and handed Elara a small, silver key. "This key will unlock the heart of the garden. Use it wisely, and remember that the true magic of the moonlit garden lies in the love you give to it." From that day on, Elara became the guardian of the moonlit garden. She spent her days tending to the flowers, talking to them, and ensuring they were healthy and happy. Every full moon, the garden would bloom in all its glory, and people from all over the kingdom would come to marvel at its beauty and seek its healing powers. Elara's love and dedication brought new life to the garden. The flowers bloomed more vibrantly than ever before, and their healing properties grew stronger. The kingdom thrived, and Queen Seraphina, now at peace, spent her remaining days enjoying the garden she had created. Years passed, and Elara's bond with the moonlit garden deepened. She learned the secrets of each flower, understanding their unique needs and abilities. The garden, in turn, flourished under her care, becoming a place of unparalleled beauty and magic. One night, as Elara walked through the garden under the full moon, she heard a soft, melodious voice. It was the spirit of Queen Seraphina, who had become one with the garden she loved so dearly. "Elara," the spirit said, "you have done more than just care for the garden. You have made it your own, and in doing so, you have brought great joy to our kingdom. The moonlit garden will continue to bloom as long as there are hearts like yours to tend to it." Elara felt a warm, comforting presence envelop her. She knew that Queen Seraphina would always be with her, guiding her and watching over the garden. She vowed to continue her work, ensuring that the moonlit garden remained a place of healing and peace for generations to come. The story of Elara and the moonlit garden became a cherished legend in the kingdom. People would tell tales of the young girl who could speak to plants and the garden that bloomed under the light of the full moon. It became a symbol of love, dedication, and the magic that comes from caring for the world around us. And so, Elara and the moonlit garden lived on, bringing beauty and healing to all who visited. The kingdom flourished, united by the love and magic of the garden, and they all lived happily ever after. The Enchanted Lantern. Once upon a time, in a charming village surrounded by emerald forests and sparkling rivers, there was a legend of a magical lantern hidden deep in the woods. This lantern was said to grant one wish to anyone who found it, provided their heart was pure and their intentions noble. In this village lived a kind-hearted young girl named Elara. Elara loved to help others and often spent her days tending to the village gardens and assisting her neighbors. One day, as she was picking flowers by the river, she overheard an old storyteller recounting the tale of the enchanted lantern. Intrigued, Elara decided that she wanted to find the lantern and use its magic to help her village, which had recently fallen on hard times. The journey begins determined. Elara set out early the next morning, carrying only a small satchel with some bread, a flask of water, and a warm cloak. The path to the lantern was said to be fraught with challenges, so she needed to be prepared. As she ventured into the forest, the trees seemed to whisper secrets, and the air was filled with the sound of rustling leaves. After walking for a while, she encountered a wise old owl perched on a low branch. The first challenge, the riddle of the owl. The owl looked at Alara with its large, knowing eyes and spoke, "To proceed, you must answer my riddle. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I?" Alara thought for a moment and then answered, "A map." The owl hooted in approval and flapped its wings, revealing a hidden path illuminated by a soft, golden light. Alara followed the path deeper into the forest. The second challenge, the mysterious stream. The path led Alara to a babbling stream with sparkling water. As she approached, she noticed that the stream was obstructed by floating stones that seemed to shift and move. On the opposite bank stood a small, delicate fairy. The fairy fluttered her wings and said, "To cross the stream, you must find the pattern in the stones. Only then will you safely reach the other side." Alara carefully observed the stones and noticed that they formed a pattern of twinkling lights when aligned in a specific order. She stepped on the stones according to the pattern and successfully crossed the stream. The third challenge, the Whispering Grove. On the other side of the stream, Alara entered a grove where the trees seemed to whisper secrets to one another. She was greeted by a friendly squirrel who asked her to solve the final riddle. "I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I?" Alara answered, "A joke." The squirrel nodded and scurried away, revealing a hidden entrance covered in vines. Alara pushed through the entrance and found herself in a serene glade. The enchanted lantern in the center of the glade stood, a beautiful, ornate lantern hanging from an ancient oak tree. The lantern was glowing softly, casting a warm, inviting light. Alara approached and gently lifted the lantern. As she held it, a gentle voice emanated from the lantern, "To use my magic, you must make a wish with a pure heart." Alara closed her eyes and made her wish. "I wish for my village to prosper and for the people to be happy and healthy." The lantern's light grew brighter, and a soft breeze carried the magic back to the village. As Alara made her way home, she could see the signs of change. The fields were lush and green, the river flowed abundantly, and the village was bustling with renewed energy and joy. The return home. When Alara returned, the villagers greeted her with joy and gratitude. The village was thriving once more, and the magic of the enchanted lantern had brought prosperity and happiness to everyone. Alara's kindness and bravery were celebrated, and the tale of her journey was passed down through generations. The enchanted lantern became a symbol of hope and the power of selfless wishes. And so, Alara's village continued to flourish, forever touched by the magic of the enchanted lantern in the heart of a young girl who wished for the happiness of others. In the heart of a sprawling kingdom, nestled between towering mountains and endless meadows, there was a quaint village named Everwood. Everwood was famous for its lush gardens and the shimmering river that wound through its center. The village was known to be under the protection of a magical sapphire stone, said to bring prosperity and peace. The sapphire stone was kept hidden in the tallest tower of the village's castle, watched over by a wise old wizard named Cedric. Cedric had dedicated his life to ensuring that the stone's magic remained undisturbed. However, rumors began to spread that a dark sorcerer, Morgoth, was plotting to steal the sapphire and use its power for his own wicked purposes. One crisp autumn morning, a courageous young woman named Arya, known for her bravery and quick thinking, learned about the danger threatening her beloved village. Determined to protect Everwood, Arya sought out Cedric to offer her help. Cedric, though initially hesitant, recognized Arya's fierce determination and agreed to guide her through the castle's many defenses. He handed her a small, enchanted map that would lead her to the sapphire stone. The map was magical, glowing softly and showing the way through the castle's hidden passages and secret traps. Arya set off on her quest, the map guiding her through winding corridors and ancient staircases. The castle was filled with puzzles and obstacles, each one more challenging than the last. As she navigated the castle, she encountered 3 trials, each testing her courage and wisdom. Trial 1, the Labyrinth of Shadows. Arya entered a vast labyrinth where the walls seemed to shift and move. Shadows danced along the pathways, creating illusions and misleading her. To find her way, Arya focused on the gentle hum of her enchanted map, which pulsed with a soft light. By trusting her instincts and following the map's guidance, she found the correct path and exited the labyrinth. Trial 2, the Hall of Echoes. In the Hall of Echoes, Arya faced a series of enchanted mirrors that repeated her voice and created confusing echoes. To pass this trial, she needed to decipher the true voice among the echoes. Using her keen sense of listening and her knowledge of ancient riddles, Arya solved the puzzle and discovered the hidden door that led her to the next challenge. Trial 3, the Chamber of Fire. The final trial was a chamber filled with blazing fire pits and intense heat. To cross safely, Arya needed to cool the flames using a magical incantation written in an ancient script. With Cedric's guidance and her own bravery, Arya recited the incantation, and the flames died down, revealing a staircase leading to the tower where the sapphire stone was kept. At the top of the tower, Arya found the sapphire stone, glowing with a brilliant, calming light. As she approached it, Morgoth appeared, his dark robes billowing as he prepared to seize the stone. Arya confronted the sorcerer, using her quick thinking to outwit him. She cleverly distracted Morgoth with a series of illusions created by her own magic, buying herself enough time to place protective wards around the sapphire. Morgoth, enraged and frustrated, was forced to retreat, unable to break through the wards. With the sapphire stone safe and secure, Arya returned to the village, where she was hailed as a hero. Cedric praised her bravery and presented her with a special token, a silver locket containing a tiny piece of the sapphire's magic. From that day on, Everwood thrived under the protection of the sapphire stone, and Arya's name became legendary. She continued to safeguard her village and share her wisdom, knowing that true bravery and cleverness were the greatest tools in protecting what one holds dear. And so, under the shimmering sky and with the magic of the sapphire stone shining brightly, Everwood remained a beacon of hope and prosperity, forever protected by the courage of a single brave heart. Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Everglow, nestled between emerald hills and shimmering streams, there was a legend about a magical lantern. The Lantern of Wishes was said to have the power to grant one heartfelt wish to anyone who found it and used it with a pure heart. The lantern was hidden deep within the enchanted forest, a mystical place where the trees whispered secrets and the creatures spoke in riddles. For many years, the lantern had been lost, and the villagers often spoke of it in hushed tones, hoping that someone would someday find it and make a wish to bring prosperity to their village. In Everglow lived a kind and adventurous young woman named Lila. Lila was known for her generosity and her willingness to help anyone in need. She had always dreamed of embarking on a grand adventure and believed that finding the Lantern of Wishes could bring joy and hope to her village. One crisp autumn morning, Lila set out on her quest. Armed with a sturdy walking stick and a small satchel of provisions, she entered the enchanted forest. As she ventured deeper into the forest, she encountered a mischievous fairy named Faye, who fluttered around her with a glimmering trail of stardust. To find the Lantern of Wishes, Faye chimed, "You must solve 3 riddles. Only then will you discover the path to the